my side, it's already
Okay, yes. It's just started.
Come again?
Record, my lady.
It has started.
So help me God.
You are hereby sworn in. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Late, you may proceed.
Thank you, my lady. Professor Tintinger, can you please state your qualifications for the court, please?
I completed my undergraduate studies, the MBBH at WITS. I then specialized in internal...
That you drafted concerning Terence Chaba?
That is correct.
Where are we now? Are we on page 2913?
That's correct, my lady.
If we may go there, please. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Professor
Mr. Late,
Tintinger.
may proceed.
I would like to take you to the next document that can be found on page. That is an opinion drafted and dated on the 29th of October 2019, and it concerns the deceased Barney. Do you confirm that you drafted this said opinion? Reports that Terence Chaba and Dr. Masek, both these deceased were in precious angels. Did you have any knowledge regarding the situation that the NGO and its...
Lady, no questions at this stage to the Professor. Thank you.
Ms. Sim, if she's there, or Ms. Bundleland.
Thank you, my lady. I do have some questions, please, for Professor Tintinger. Good morning, Professor Tintinger. My name is Nasreen Raja Badlander. I'm counsel of those that died as part of these inquest proceedings, or that have been considered as part of these inquest proceedings, and I represent the South African Depression Anxiety Group. Professor, one of the deceased that you wrote a report about was Terence Chaba. That report is marked S1. Mr. Late has just taken you to that a little while ago. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask you a few questions coming out of that report and your conclusions on that report. Just informed on the 15th of August 2016.
That is correct.
All right. Now, I want you just to look at paragraph 4, which records the post-mortem findings. And if you could just read that to us, please.
All right. That the chief post-mortem findings made by me on this body were the following. An adult black male with no fatal external injuries on the body. Pressure sores were noted on the buttocks. There were 2 needle puncture marks noted within the right antecubital fossa. An old needle puncture mark was located on the dorsal aspect of the right foot. Melena stools were present. There was approximately 892 grams of bloody stools, in brackets, Melena stools, present within the distal colon.
Position, can you explain?
That's correct. So an upper gastrointestinal hemorrhage can lead to fresh blood, which is usually vomited. But as the blood passes down, by the time it reaches the rectum, it is usually a dark black color and has a specific odor that we can identify on examination.
Okay. And this deceased had Melena stools and approximately 892 grams of bloody stools, Melena stools present within the distal colon, so inside the colon. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. We'll come back to that as we go through the post-mortem reports. Can you then look at paragraph 5, which records the observations of Dr. Blumenthal, and just tell us what he says there?
Paragraph 5, that as a result of my observations, the schedule of which follows, I concluded that the cause of death was the following. Natural causes should be considered: bronchopneumonia.
Bronchopneumonia, okay. Thank you. Now, can you go to page 2911? You'll tell us when you've got it in front of you.
2911.
Thank you, my lady. It's 2911.
2911.
That's right.
Just a second. Yes.
All right. So, Professor, you'll see that this document is also a document by Dr. Blumenthal, but it's slightly different. Have you seen this document before?
Yes, I think I have.
All right. Would you like a minute just to have a look at it?
No, you can proceed.
Okay, we'll go through it. So if you look at paragraph 1 of that document, well, first of all, we note that the document at the top right says that it's dated 30th of August, 2018. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
So that would be about 2 years after the original postmortem was done. If you look at paragraph 1, would I be correct about that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So 2 years later, Dr. Blumenthal looks at his original postmortem report, and he appears to have prepared this document. In this document, can you just look at paragraph 1? You'll see that there are a list of A to I on that document, and it lists an overview of Dr. Blumenthal's findings in the earlier postmortem. Can you read those to us, please?
The following is a brief overview of my findings. A, an adult black male with no fatal external injuries on the body. B, pressure sores were noted on the buttocks. C, there were 2 needle puncture marks noted within the right antecubital fossa. D, an old needle puncture mark was located on the dorsal aspect of the right foot. E, melena stools were present. F, there was approximately 892 grams of bloody stools, melena stools, present within the distal colon. G, the rest of the gastrointestinal tract contained approximately 818 grams of normal stools. H, histology of the lungs showed fibrinosuppurative consolidation. I, the cause of death was stated as natural causes should be considered, bronchopneumonia.
Okay, thank you. And would those largely accord with what you read to us from the postmortem in the previous document?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in paragraph 2, Dr. Blumenthal refers to, I see there's a hand up, my lady.
Yes, Miss, is that Mr.
My lady, yes, my lady, I don't have any objection regarding the examination of the professor at this stage. My only concern is we have decided at the meeting that we will not read out the statements of witnesses to save some time. I can't see any reason why the professor has to read out a document that is already before each of us. It's just wasting time. If there's any questions my learned friend wants to ask the witness, she can just ask the witness regarding what is stated in the document. I can't see why he has to read it into the record because it's already part of the record.
Can we hear her? Thank you.
Thank you, my lady. I take Mr. Late's point. I don't intend to ask this witness to read out vast tracts of documents, but his opinion is his report is a short one, but it's based on a lot of different things. So we do need the court to just go to those different things, but I'll bear in mind Mr. Late's caution. I won't ask this witness to read long.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Continue.
All right, Professor. I want you to have a look at paragraph 2 of the document we were looking at on page 2911. Now, in this paragraph, Dr. Blumenthal says the post-mortem report described the deceased as thin Cachexia. I'm not pronouncing that properly. Can you tell us how to pronounce that?
Cachexia.
Cachexia. Okay. And Cachexia. Okay. And he says the deceased was thin Cachexia and with poor nutrition, and that he was then consulted to provide an opinion regarding malnutrition as a contributing factor to eventual fatal illness in this matter. So this document that we're looking at is the product of a request to Dr. Blumenthal to provide that opinion. Now, my question for you is this: what is cachexia?
So cachexia is the end result of usually a disease process, and the patients lose a significant amount of weight, and they usually are emaciated. So cachexia just indicates emaciation, but the underlying cause was a disease process.
I see. And in fact, Dr. Blumenthal, if you look at that report, goes further in paragraph 3. It's broken down into A, B, and C and D. He goes further in A and B to describe different what is required in terms of calories to maintain a normal body, and the effect of food and on starvation. Do you see that?
I see that.
Okay. Now, if you look at paragraph C of that document, Dr. Blumenthal says that a major problem is cause and effect, where some underlying pathological disease process is found. Did the cancer lead to the cachexia, or is it an incidental finding? He asks. The other question he asks is, did pulmonary tuberculosis cause the emaciation, or was the infection secondary to the nutritional deficiency? The relevance of diseases such as diabetes, Addison's disease, chronic infections, and neoplasms must always be evaluated, he says. Now, this document ultimately was the reason why you were asked for your opinion. And if you look towards the bottom of the document, he in fact says, after listing those questions that I took you through, he says, in order to resolve this matter, I'd suggest that the matter be reviewed by a specialist clinician or physician. To this end, I'd suggest that this matter be referred to an expert in the field of medical treatment and or medical care, and he gives your name. Were you aware that this is how the matter was referred to you?
Yes, I was aware of that.
Okay, and in coming to your report, were the issues that Dr. Blumenthal raised in this report issues that you considered?
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's go to your report, which is 2913. Do you have it, my lady?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Now, Professor, you did this report in August 2018. Sorry, 19 September 2019.
Correct.
Okay. Now, that's quite some time after the deceased died in 2016, and it's quite some time after the post-mortem was done. Does that have an effect on your findings?
I don't think so.
Okay. Could it have had an effect on your findings? As I understand, I just want to make clear, I want to make sure that your report was done some time later. You didn't have access to the deceased body, for example. Does that have any impact on what you investigated or the outcome of your report?
No, I just used the documents and the information that was given to me to compile my report.
Okay. Now, you say in your report that you had a look, that you relied on what you call daily patients' progress reports that were documented in the file. I assume that's the file given to you by Colonel Ditaba. Is that right?
Correct.
And you say you also had monthly physical assessment records between October 2015 and April 2016. I want to just take you to what I think you're referring to, which is in our files, and you'll tell me if that's correct. Now, if you just bear with me for 1 minute. If you go, sorry, my lady, just bear with me for 1 minute. My case lines is just stalling for a minute. All right. If you look at page 2878, my lady?
Yes, I'm there.
Right. Professor Tintinger, does this look like the documents that you had access to? You're welcome to scroll through. There are about 33 pages.
It looks familiar.
Okay. And these are in our docket as life Esidimeni clinical records. Now, if you look at page 2879, which is the next page,
Yes, I see it.
can you tell us, this appears to be some details about Terence Chaba. Can you tell us what was the weight of Terence Chaba at this time?
The weight recorded on this document is 63.1 kilograms.
Okay, and then if you keep paging through, can you look at page 2882? And that document keeps running onto the next page, 2883. Is when you referred in your report to blood tests being taken between 2014 and 2016, is this document that you based that on?
That's correct.
All right. And then keep scrolling down to 2884. That document is on its side. If you need to turn it around, I'm sure the evidence leader can help you to do that.
I see it.
Okay. And that document appears to be the monthly physical assessments between June 2015 and April 2016. Would I be right?
Correct.
And would I be right there that Mr. Chaba's weight seemed to have fluctuated between about 61 and 65 kilograms?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I just want to take you to one more thing in these records. Now, in these records, there's social work reports and that sort of thing, but that's outside of your field, so I'm not going to ask you about that. But if you go to page 2897, if you look at page 2903, that looks to me like a list of medications, chronic medications. Can you please tell us what these medications are? What is clozapine?
Clozapine is a medication. It's an antipsychotic medication that I think is used for patients with psychiatric disorders.
Okay.
The second agent is Rivotril. Rivotril is an anti-epileptic agent that may be prescribed for patients with epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other item on the prescription is Epilim CR. Epilim is an anti-epileptic medication prescribed for patients with epilepsy.
For patients with?
With epilepsy, my lady.
Okay.
Thank you. And that fits with a diagnosis in this docket that Mr. Chaba had epilepsy and schizophrenia. Now, in the documents here at page 2730, you can go there just so you're 100% sure. I'm not going to ask you much about it, but at 2730, there's a toxicology report. And these, and clozapine and phenytoin were both found in the blood and stomach of Mr. Chaba. Would that be something that is expected?
Yes, I see that on the report.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to your report, having looked at all those documents. My lady, can I, before I do that, point out the following to you? One of the findings that Professor Tintinger makes in his report, which we're about to come to, concerns the fact that Mr. Chaba's condition deteriorated. Documents, but you don't have to answer that. Now, can you just look at paragraph 5? And you see in paragraph 5, you say that Pretoria West Hospital, the doctor there noted that this patient was chronically ill and unkempt with dirty clothes, and that there were threatening bed sores on the right hip. And you also then refer to the post-mortem report in the next paragraph, where you say that there were multiple healing wounds and pressure sores on his body. Can you explain to us, those seem to be crucial considerations that you took into account in coming to your conclusion. Can you explain to us what why those things were important?
I think this is not normal, which predisposes to aspiration. They're also in this very weak state. They have difficulty swallowing, especially solid food, and that may also predispose to aspiration. And aspiration is often the event that results in bronchopneumonia or pneumonia.
Okay. Now, you don't make any finding about whether there was aspiration in this case, or am I missing something?
No, I did not.
Okay. Now, in paragraph 8 of your report, you say that in light of Mr. Chaba's apparent deterioration following his transfer from Life Esidimeni to the NGO, you recommend that a detailed investigation be conducted to evaluate the care that he received between June 2016 and August 2016 at Precious Angels. Do you still stand by that conclusion?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then just to give some context to what we were discussing, I should have taken you here before, but if you please look at page 2736. This is a schedule of observations that was attached to the post-mortem. And if you go towards the back of this document, you see Dr. Blumenthal's signature, his stamp. Can you just show us, well, first of all, is this a sort of standard document?
As an autopsy report, yes.
Okay. Now, the height, Mr. Chaba's height is recorded as 1.65 meters, and his mass is recorded as 46 kilograms. Is that right?
Correct.
And his physique was thin, and he's referred to as having cachexia. That's and poor nutrition. So this is where this is why I say I should have taken you to this before. This was the finding that Dr. Blumenthal referred to. Now, can you just look below on the first page in this document? It says here that under findings, there are a series of bullet points. You see that?
I see that.
The 8th bullet point from the bottom.
This is now paragraph 4.3.
Yes, sorry, my lady, that's right. It's paragraph 4.3 findings. And the 8th bullet point, it says there's a 9 by 2 centimeter in diameter pressure sore located overlying the left buttock. This wound is located 12 centimeters inferior from the left iliac crest and 3 centimeter lateral and to the left of the posterior midline. And it was initially covered by surgical dressing. Now, 9 by 2 centimeters seems to me to be quite a large wound or sore. Or would that be right?
I agree.
And is that consistent with bed sores? Is that unusual? Is it something to be concerned about? Was it something that you paid attention to?
It is something that I paid attention to because it would indicate that this patient was not mobile for some time and had developed these pressure sores.
Right. Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions for Professor Tintinger.
Thank you. Ms. Munjerera?
As please the court, my lady, I have no questions for this witness.
Thank you. Ms. Foster, is she available?
As the court pleases, my lady, I do not have any questions for this witness. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sivara?
Morning, Judge.
Okay.
No, Agnadi Pujo, Judge.
Mr. Hutamu? Mr. Hutamu? I'm going to pass him. Ms. Sibuko?
Thank you, my lady. I've got no questions for Professor Tintinger.
Thank you. Ms. Ramaimela?
May it please the court, my lady, we have no questions for this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Mahlape. Ms. Koka?
Good morning, my lady. I have no questions for the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Maite?
May it please you, my lady, I too have no questions for the witness.
Mr. Pinar, can I hear, do you have instructions on behalf of Mr. Shabangu if he doesn't have any cross-examination?
May it please the court, my lady. Sorry, I indicated to Ms. Madonsela at the roll call, but Mr. Advocate Shabangu indicated he's still ill-disposed, but he does not have questions for Professor Tintinger.
Thank you. Mr. Mboweni? Anybody on behalf of Ms. Mboweni? I'm going to pass her. Mr. Manamela? I'm also going to pass Mr. Manamela. Mr. Profi?
May it please the court, my lady, I do have a question for the witness. It relates to deceased 52. Since he was at the NGO Obushlepe Nkosi, it merely relates to putting the version to the NGO's version to the witness and him commenting accordingly.
Okay, you may do so. This is William Vulani.
Correct, my lady.
For the purpose of the record, the surname is Mvulane. Thank you.
Good morning, Professor. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
I appear on behalf of the NGO Obushlepe Nkosi, as referred to in your opinion, which has been presented to this court as Exhibit S3, as it relates to deceased 52. I hope to not keep you very long. Professor, having consideration to your opinion, the NGO's version is twofold. Is my lady there?
Yes, I'm here.
The NGO's version is twofold, Professor. The NGO received the deceased during the period that his condition was deteriorating significantly. And secondly, further, considering that the deceased was elderly and that he had comorbidities, the NGO provided adequate care. In light of your uncertainty expressed in your opinion, the NGO's version can then not be disputed. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
I have no further questions for the witness, my lady.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pichela?
Scott pleases, my lady. My lady, at this stage...
Is it the same problem that you encountered yesterday? You still do not have instructions?
Yes. Now, for just as a safety measure, we can just reserve the professor for cross-examination at a later stage, should the need arise. I'm still dealing with Ms. Mube regarding the explanation and whether legal aid will be resumed or not.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Please.
Mr. Late? Where is Mr. Late?
I'm here, my lady.
Is it the opportune time for us to excuse the professor for now?
Yes, I submit that he should be excused at this stage.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Your Excellency. Mr. Basalo? Yes, you don't have questions.
No questions. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Late. Mr. Late, are you there?
I'm here, my lady.
Yes.
The witness can be excused?
Yes, he has been excused.
There's a serious delay on my computer here. My lady, I would like to ask the court to then remand the matter till the 14th of this month.
Which
and
is
the next
now,
witness will be...
The 14th will be week after next.
That's, the week after next Monday.
Okay.
And the witness for Monday and Tuesday is Professor Pienaar. I would just like my
Just a second, if I may, are we proceeding on Monday, the 7th?
Monday. No, we're not sitting this coming week.
Okay, so the proceedings should be adjourned to the week of the 14th.
That's correct, my lady.
Yes. And then the witnesses?
The witness for
that week.
Yeah, the first witness is Professor Abel Pienaar. He will testify on Monday and Tuesday.
This is now witness number. Professor Pienaar.
That's correct, my lady.
Okay, 22. Number 22.
Number 22.
So it will be for Monday and Tuesday.
That's correct, my lady. Now, I don't know what the current situation, because the next witness after Professor Pienaar should be Daphne in Glorville, but I don't know what her medical situation is. I would like counsel just to contact me so that we can ascertain what's going on.
Okay.
As Mr. Court, my lady, she's still not all right at all. I was communicating with her some few minutes ago, but I will contact Advocate Late and inform him accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
As pleased the court, my lady.
Ms. Bandlender?
Thank you, my lady. Just to say that I think Ms. Stevenson has been liaising with the evidence leaders about Dr. Talantala, and he would be available to come after Dr. Pienaar. So that would follow in the week of the 14th.
So, okay, that will be a Wednesday. because we'll be having Professor Piner Monday and Tuesday.
Yes.
There you are, Mr. Late.
Okay.
That's
Thank
correct,
you.
my lady.
So Dr. Talatala will come on Wednesday, ne?
Thank you, my lady.
Yes, Mr. Late.
That's all, my lady.
Okay. Thank you very much. On this note, the proceedings are therefore adjourned to the 14th of March, 2022. Thank you.
May
May it please the court, my lady.
Thank you, my lady. May it please the court, my lady.
May it please you, my lady.
May it please.
Sun, please, my lady.
Yes, please, the court, my lady.